Welcome, lovelies. Today we're going to be talking about a really tricky subject, which is how to tell other people that somebody close to you has taken their own life. This is never going to be easy, but over the 40 years since my brother died, I've worked out some ways to protect myself and to also protect other people for when it lands for them, because, we know that's not going to be easy either. So thank you for being here. And let's go on this journey about how to deal with other people about something where you had a big loss yourself. Hello, my name's Helen Garlick. For 35 years, I was a family lawyer and mediator, but I kept secret what was happening in my own family of origin. Now I know it's time to talk about it. So I'd like to warmly welcome you to Hello, It's Better to Talk. So I've had a couple of messages from people who've been watching the channel asking me privately about how it is that I deal with people when they ask me, do you know that simple question, who's in your family? And then I have a choice point about what to say. It's a simple question, isn't it? But it's not necessarily simple to answer. So for those of you who are new here, I'd love you to subscribe, because we're talking about the things that can be quite difficult to talk about. And that's why we're here. Hello, it's better to talk, because talking actually is the healer. But you've also got to choose your time and your place. So I'm talking here about a situation where somebody in your family has taken their own life, and somebody asks you the question, do you have any siblings? Or tell me more about your parents. I'm not talking here about that situation just immediately in the aftermath of a suicide, because I think, in that time, it is so painful that you just need to focus completely on yourself and getting through and getting by. Reach out for support. Have people around you who will help look after you if you can. And just be as gentle and kind to yourself as you possibly can. That first time, I can remember going back to 1981, it felt as if a volcano had gone off inside me and there was a crater there. And I couldn't even almost talk about what it felt like. I'd been brought up in a family where we didn't talk about feelings, so I didn't have words for the landscape that I was going through. It just felt mushy, grey, misty, horrible, painful. That phase it'll change. People say time heals, and sometimes when you hear that you think, I really don't think it will. But it does, things change over time. But one is still left later on with this difficult thing about how to deal with people who say, do you have any siblings? Tell me about your parents. Now, I think there are various things that one can do. The first thing is always remember you have a choice. You don't have to tell people. You could say something like, that's a simple question, but it would take me a while to tell you what happened. And that's something I don't want to go into now. So your choice point can be literally saying, actually, I'm not going to talk about that. Because one of the things that we also need to think about is this a safe space to talk about what happened? I'm thinking like if you're working, if you're in a conference and there's that kind of idle chit-chat that people are doing to themselves, is that a space where you want to start opening up? For me, not. For you, you may make different choices, but for me, definitely not. If I'm going to talk to people a little bit more about what happened to my brother, I need to know that I'm in a safe space, that I am protected, in the sense of I'm protecting myself. I know that I'm going to look after myself. That's why I've got a cup of tea here. I knew this was going to not be an easy one. So, do anything you can to look after yourself. And then just think about, is this the right moment to talk to somebody? Because you can say other things. Like I remember saying at one point, no, I'm an only child. It wasn't true. There was my brother who died, and actually my mother had a miscarriage, which for me, I knew I had a little sister who sadly died. But, I don't want to open that up in that more formal environment. So think about the environment that you're in. think about who you're talking to. And in a way, the person that you're talking to has to earn your trust about whether or not you want to talk to them. So they need to be a good listener, and they need to be able to be empathic to what you're going through. And also think about maybe, are they in a situation where they can take this? Because there are two people in this conversation. There's you talking about what it felt like for you, and then it's how it's going to land. Because one of the things that I've found, and I bet you found it too, is that once you've told somebody that in my case, my brother took his own life. I know for other people it's one of their parents that took their own life. It has an impact, and you can almost watch in people's eyes how it hits them when it lands. And they may not know how to deal with it. I've had people cross over on the other side of the street in the past. I've had people who just blush and say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," and then even amble off because they're getting involved in their own thing. So there's one thing that you can do, which I found really helps, and I'd love you to share your thoughts about what's helped you too, or any questions that you've got about how to deal with this. But there's one thing that I've found, and it was actually when I was training people to be negotiators. I would say you can prime a question. So if you're dealing with people and you want to ask them a question, you can say, "I'm going to ask you a question." And then actually that gets people's attention, if that's what you want. So you can say, "I could tell you more about that if you'd like to hear it, but it is a difficult topic, and it's fine if we're not going to, it's fine not to talk about it now." So you're priming them in a way for what's going to come. Because I think almost you need people's permission. My sense is that you need people's permission to be talking about this too, and making sure for you it's a safe space. And then finding some words about what happened. Over the years I've come up with different things, and it really does depend on how much I trust the person I'm talking to as to how deep I'll go into it. There are, those of us who are in this god-awful club that we never wanted to be in, people who have lost somebody, who've taken their own lives, we can talk about this between ourselves, but in terms of the outside world, it is still hard to share it. So 3 things. One is make sure you really protect yourself. Always, always, always look after yourself as much as you can. Be really tender and kind to yourself. And think about whether you're in a space where you feel that you can trust this person, because we don't need to share this with everybody. Have a little think about whether or not they're in a place where they can hear it. And then the next thing is priming them that this may be a difficult conversation. So in a way, you're getting their permission to talk about it. So this is something that you're both agreeing to. So I hope that helps. I'd love to hear more from you as to whether or not you've got any tips, or if there are difficult situations that you've come across and you've not known what to say. So please drop me a comment. Love you to subscribe, and come back next week, Wednesdays at noon GMT. Hello, it's better to talk.